Thanks for tuning into the Hidden Tracks podcast. You can find us wherever you find podcasts or listen to music. When you have an opportunity, please give us a 5-star review, write a little note, tell us how we're doing. We really appreciate it. It helps us keep this thing going. If you want to reach out to us, you can find us at Facebook at Hidden Tracks. Instagram is at HiddenTracks99, and if you'd like to send in submissions or talk to us or give us any feedback about what we're doing, our email is myhiddentracks99@gmail.com. Thank you so much again for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the show. What's up, everybody? I have Garrett from Calling Hours here, among many other bands he's been a part of. But I had an opportunity to meet Garrett at only the second show Calling Hours ever played live, which was pretty awesome. And so welcome to the show, Garrett.
Hey, Shane, what's up?
First off, how was the tour to Europe?
The tour was incredible. I have to say, we got back like a week ago, and I was just talking to Tony, our guitarist, today, and I was like, dude, I feel like today's the first day that I'm starting to feel like a normal person again. Just exhausted in a good way. It's just so go the whole time. We had 9 shows in 9 days, 4 different countries, long drives between each show. So there wasn't a lot of downtime. And even when you're sitting in the van for 8 hours staring out the window, like your mind's going because you're seeing like cool windmills and like you're on the Autobahn seeing like, you know, cars passing you at 180 miles an hour and just like your mind is overstimulated the entire time. And we didn't get a lot of sleep just because of, you know, we're on tour and just the way some of the routing was. So yeah, I feel like we were all just running on adrenaline. And then I got home, and we had like an 8 hour flight home, and I think I slept like 7 hours of the 8 hours, which is hard to sleep on a plane. But I was just like exhausted. But dude, it was just an incredible experience. We got to tour with As Friends Rust, who I wasn't super familiar with before the tour. I mean, I like had, listened to their music, but didn't really know anyone in the band before the tour. And we became like all super close because of the tour. Just really, really clicked with those guys. They're awesome people and an incredible band. And they just put out another record, just put out like their first record in I think 20 years on N Hits, and the record's great. And their old songs are awesome, and the touring lineup they had was really, really solid. And it was just they made it super fun to be on the road with them, and they took us with them, which was super generous of them because we had only played. Well, you said you saw our second show. We played only one more show after that before the tour, so we only played
That's
three
some
shows
faith,
before we went
man.
to Europe.
Yeah, that's some faith in another band being like, yeah, you only have three. Come on, let's go.
Yeah, I mean, they were all Far Side fans. So, when they knew Popeye's involvement in our band, I think they were pretty stoked. And it turns out that a couple of the guys were, as fate would have it, were fans of a band I was in, like in the early '90s. Like they're big fans, so it
What,
was kind of
Junction?
cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Which I'm always like totally surprised when someone's like, "Oh, I like Junction a lot." I'm like, "No, Junction is." But they were fans of some records I put out back then. So we like all bonded a lot. It made it just super fun.
Well, I mean, you guys and meeting you for the short period of time that I did, it seemed very easy to get along with everybody in the band, right? You guys all seem like you're all friends, and everybody was very cordial and awesome. And, I got to say hello to everybody, and everybody seemed extremely interested in me as a human being, more or less, for being at a show to see you guys. Like, and that comes out in the music as well. So it's got to be pretty easy for you to all be best friends afterwards with other bands.
Yeah, I think it's funny. Like when you look at what it takes to be, and I'm saying successful, like in air quotes, because none of us are making a living doing the music we're doing. Like what it takes to be in a functioning operating band. Like talent is, of course, paramount, but just being someone who's a good hang is super important because you have a lot of, we played a 40-minute set and we slept 4 hours a night. So the other, whatever, 17 hours a day, I screwed up that math or whatever, like 20 hours a day or 18, 19 hours a day, you need to be someone who's like cool to be with, and like fun, a fun hang, and is reliable and is willing to like pull your own weight and isn't a prima donna. You just need to be friends, basically, someone who you want to be around. So I think we've all known each other. We haven't, we've only known Popeye for a couple of years, but like literally every person who we mentioned we were doing music with Popeye was like, oh my God, he's the best. He's the nicest guy. He's awesome. We love Popeye. And it's like, we knew he was going to be easy. And then the rest of us have all known each other for a long time and, have just click. So yeah, we like to think we're pretty easy to go along with. And there's at our age, there's not a lot of drama anymore about playing in a band.
There's no time for it, right?
There's no
At this
time.
point, yeah.
And the drama, like whatever comes up in this band, like the real life drama that we have with like families and jobs and mortgages is like way more, intense than like not agreeing on the set list or like not agreeing on like the what order the songs are going to be on the record or whatever, like that, putting it, or like not agreeing with it on like a, about a t-shirt design, like all that's just fun. The band stuff should just be fun and be gravy, or else there's no point in even doing it.
No, and you
So
have to have, especially when looking at a band too. Like I always looked at a band as it is kind of, if you kind of treat it like a job, like everybody has a certain thing to do in a band, but everything outside of it is still more important than the band itself. And I do that in my everyday life as a boss, telling my employees to just say, hey, listen, anything happens in your family, I don't give a shit. Go do it. Tell me about it later. there should be no question when it comes to the big things that really matter in life. And a band that creates music and you're all friends, but you all have this separate life outside of it, that is truly the most important thing that you have to worry about.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting. You see that in like bands that are, I mean, Calling Hours is a new band, but when you see it, you see it in bands that are comprised of people who are like in the same age group as us, who are reuniting or they haven't played shows in 10 years or whatever, and they have like some new members or touring with them. Like uh As Friends Rust had a fill-in guitarist because their main guitarist is opening a brewery in Gainesville and is in the, like about to open it, and it was just a bad time, so they brought along this guy Ryan, who was amazing and super cool guy, and has like a great resume as it is as a guitarist. But like when you're 19 or 20 years old, you would never, at least the bands I was in, you would never dream of having like a fill-in guitarist on tour. That would just break the band up.
Yeah.
It would hurt people's feelings, and it would be, so you would either just the band would break up, or you wouldn't do the tour or whatever. But now it's like everyone, yeah, you put things into perspective. Yeah, it's more important that I'm opening up this new business and I have to be focused on that than me doing this tour that, is mostly for fun. Um, so it's kind of cool to see bands doing that, just bring in like, and you can always find someone who's happy to go to Europe for a couple weeks and just fill in for a great band temporarily. But so yeah, I mean, you put things into perspective. You prioritize family and job over music, and if when you do that, when you're actually able to do the music, then it's just pure joy because it's like, everything else is okay, and you're doing this, from a place of comfort and stability.
Now, when you got asked to go out and go to Europe after only playing 3 shows here in the States, was there any second thoughts about maybe not doing it because maybe you guys weren't ready to do it? Or was it just all hands on deck? Yeah, we're doing this.
Um, there might have been a little bit of trepidation about it, but honestly, we felt like we had nothing to lose. We didn't have a record out. We had one single that came out the day before we left on tour.
Yeah.
So no one knew our music. No one could really judge, are you playing this badly compared to the record, or are you playing it well? Um, we figured if all the shows flopped, whatever, we're still going to Europe. Like like some of the places we played, this is crazy, but we played in, I think our second show was in Hamburg, Germany, and we played at this club called Indra, and it was the club where the Beatles got started as a
Hmm.
band. Like they're from Liverpool, but I'm sure some of your listeners have much deeper Beatles knowledge than I do, but um, they went. I guess their manager encouraged them or made them go to Germany and Hamburg because the music scene was more open-minded than in England at the time. But they played at this club 48 days in a row, and they played 8 hours a day, and they slept on the floor of the bathroom in the movie theater next to them. And so we played in that club on the same stage that they played in. Like, how sick is that? Um, so it was kind of like, hey, if we flop, it's okay. We still get to go to all these cool places and have fun together, and we'll see how it goes. And to a certain extent, I mean, I think we did fine. And we really like, the other part of us was like, when we come back, our record's coming out and we're going to need to start playing regularly. And we need to be like a good, solid, tight live band. And so playing 9 days in a row, we improved a lot in terms of like knowing the set and like feeling comfortable with each other on stage and all that. So we just figured we really didn't have much to lose. And that's sort of how it played out.
How different is that from not having something to tour on, such as, I mean, I know the album is already made, just waiting to be released. By the way, I can't wait till everyone hears it. It is just banger after banger. And as I told someone when I heard it, I said, this album felt necessary. And I don't know how to explain how I came up with that, but I was like, it felt necessary. Like, I don't know if I needed it or if it was something that just had to be done. But going out and not having anybody
Thank
hear
you.
anything what you do, how crazy is that as opposed to here's our album, we're going out, we're trying to sell and promote it? What's the major difference? Is it basically just how you said was, no one's heard it, so there's no expectations?
Yeah, first of all, thank you. That's really sweet of you to say that, and I appreciate the compliment about the record. I'm anxious for people to hear it, and I hope other people feel the same way you do. I think, yeah, I guess there's not a lot of pressure, and if we, if you play the wrong note, no one really knows, and probably no one really cares. I mean, that's the one thing about bands. Like every, and at some point in the set, everyone makes a mistake, and sometimes you give each other the stink eye. But it's like the crowd never really, very rarely even notices. But yeah, I think just um, it would have been more fun to time it after the record came out, because then like we noticed by maybe like the third day of the tour, we did have one single that was out, and we noticed people singing along to that one song in our set.
Yeah.
And like getting into it. So we were like, oh man, imagine if like all the songs were out that people could hear, or even if we had like two or three singles out. Um, but it was encouraging to see at least the song that people had heard that they were, getting into. Um, and we actually played a couple Far Side covers too. Just I don't think we would do that here in the States, but just because we were there, and again, there's no songs for people to reference.
And you
We
had to
just
fill up 40 minutes of a,
yeah, yeah. I mean, we're putting out a 7-song record, so we have those, and we have some other songs that we've written and already demoed, but we just decided not to play those because they're not going to be on the record. But to fill in some space, we played a couple Far Side songs, and we played a Replacements cover. Um, but no, it was cool. It was like whatever. I mean, people. I don't know what it's like in the States because we haven't really played. We only played a few times, but like people were also super open minded. It seemed like they were open minded about it, and they were gonna, they were gonna stick out our set regardless. So, the reaction was really good.
Well, when I said something about the album, and it pains me that you guys have been sitting on this because it is so fantastic. And I had told someone about the band recently on an episode that hasn't released yet, but I was like, okay, don't hate me. There's only one song out yet, but make sure you save it and follow it, because when the album comes out, you're going to want to hear all of it. And that's all I had to say about it. And we got into this long discussion of this new singles game that happens that we're seeing across all the streaming platforms. You guys aren't really playing into that, where it's a single every month until it creates a full album, and then you can listen to them all at once. Do you find, especially being in music for as long as you have, do you find it hard in today's world to try and keep up with how you're supposed to release music?
That's a great question, and I'm learning as I'm going too. And I would say like, um, don't sleep. Like the record that we put out on Mission 2, which was supposed to be on Victory, and then Victory sold, and Mission 2 was like Victory's new label. That was the first time I'd been involved with. I mean, that was maybe like, I don't know, the ninth or 10th record I'd been involved with releasing, but that was the first time when it was like, I would say the release was rolled out in a, for lack of a better term, like a professional way, that there were singles and there were videos and there was a schedule for everything. And we had a publicist, and we had, we had a timeline for everything. And I just wasn't familiar with that process. And, it makes sense, I guess, with pre-orders for records. It kind of gets, people interested in the record before it comes out. And, but I'm old, and I'm used to like, I like
Me
albums.
too.
I like albums. I mean, I love like sequencing. It's so fun. It's weird, but like the records I put out, I love sequencing them, and I still sequence them as like side A and side B, and there is like a rhythm to the way a record should be sequenced, I think.
Oh, I do that with albums that I, have had my whole life, and I'm like, no, I'll create the actual album in my own playlist format because this is the way I think the album should sound.
Oh, that's funny. So you reformat
Yeah.
records?
Yes. I
That's
do.
cool. I get that. I can appreciate that because sometimes bands, I don't want to say they get it wrong, but sometimes they may interpret, the sequence differently than you would. So that's interesting. But yeah, I mean, so this record, our new record's coming out on Revelation Records, and they obviously know what they're doing because they've been in existence for like, pressing coming out, I mean, almost 40 years. And they had a sort of timeline for everything. And so we did the one single and announced the pre-order with that. And then we've got another single coming out actually day after tomorrow with a video. And then one more right before the record release on November 10th. So it's like, I don't know, I guess it's just the way things are done now. And, but I wouldn't want to like wait for a year for it to come out and just have one single drop after the next. It seems kind of silly.
Yeah, it's also tough to follow, especially for new bands. That's one of my things where I get a little pissed off about when I hear something that I'm like, wow, what the fuck is this? And then I go to listen to the band and I'm like, I get two songs. And as much music as that I have to go through, especially for the show and for my own well-being to live my life and listen to music, it kind of pisses me off and then I have to stop and then it's almost I forget about it because it's hard for me to follow. It's hard for me. All right, I really want to be into this and I really want to listen to a full album and you only have two songs and they were put out 6 months apart from each other. What are we doing here?
Yeah, I mean, I do like this record that's coming out was gonna be a full length, and we only did it as a 7-song EP with the idea that like I don't want to say shortly thereafter, but in a shorter cycle than when you would put out another full length album, we're
Mm-hmm.
gonna put out another EP. Um, and that was something that in talking to Rev, that was something that they suggested that, in this world, like maybe you're better off just do one EP, get it out there. And then, we don't have a set timeline, but let's just for argument's sake, like in 1 year, do a second EP and just kind of like, cause you want to stay in front of people and stay active. And in the meantime, I think we're going to do like a couple kind of quick hit like singles or covers that we're going to put out. And I like that. I like when bands are, kind of surprise you with something like a song from that's, maybe they just do like a live recording of it or whatever. And
Yeah.
just to kind of like give people something to keep them interested. But I am still happy that we're able to put out music in physical formats. And like, I don't even know if everyone's actually listening to that vinyl when they buy it. They might just buy the vinyl and so they can have it and look at it, but then stream the music. But if that's the case, that's cool too. I mean, whatever.
Yeah, that's totally fine. I told someone the other day I had to make a rule with all the music that I have, and I've walked out of record stores with crates, and
Yeah.
I had to stop, and I had to put a complete limit on myself that as soon as I get home, within 24 hours, I have to listen to what I bought.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
Because if I don't, then I just file it away because my entire studio is just, it looks like people are like, do you live in a record store? I mean, everything is alphabetized with sleeves and like
So
and
amazing.
tapes on the wall. And it's just all music everywhere. And I
Yeah.
kind of found out, I was like, well, here's my new releases. And it's like 4 crates and the new releases is just new editions that I haven't listened to yet. And I finally, before I had to go alphabetize them, I'm like, I have to listen to all of it. So I had to
That's,
find time to do it.
hey, we all, you need to have rules in life, right?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Otherwise, I have a full crate of doubles that I bought. I'm like, fuck.
And I'm just going to put it out there. You might have a problem.
Yeah, it is a problem. There's you're not the only one that's ever said.
Hey, there are worse. I have a sneaker problem, but I always say like there are worse addictions to have than collecting sneakers or collecting records, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And my I have sneakers too, but it's just Jordans, specific Jordans that I have to have. I don't know why.
Well,
Half the time I barely wear them. I just shine them up and I'll wear them around the house because I feel good about them. And then I don't want to dirty them, so I put them away.
dude, you got to wear them though. That's what I wear. I have some. Yeah, I have some. I have a lot of Jordans too, and there are some that I'm like, should I wear these? Should I not? But then It's like, why have them if I can't wear them out? Wear them around and feel good about them.
So with the album coming out soon, there's a question that I always ask people, especially since people really can't hear it yet. But when this premieres, the album should have hopefully released or releasing maybe the next day. If you had to play one song from Calling Hours that would best describe what it is you guys are trying to accomplish with your sound, what song would you pick?
Oh, wow, that's a good question. I think this is like a Sophie's choice here.
Yeah, pick your best child.
Yeah. Well, in real life, I always know who my best friend is. No, I'm kidding. I think the first song on the record is called Cardboard and Aluminum. And I think that song really embodies it. And it's actually, interestingly, not going to be one of the singles. But I think that song, I think it really showcases our drummer, Jim, who is just an amazing beast of a drummer. It showcases him well. And it's interesting. It's like, I don't know. It's kind of, people have told me it's got a Husker Du vibe to it, which I can see where that's coming from. But I think it really showcases also, like when we started this band, it was the four members of the band who are not named Popeye. We have played in two other bands prior to this one. All of
Don't
us.
Sleep in Very Americans, right?
Yeah, with different,
Yeah.
and each band with different singers. So like, and each time we kind of like, I'd say Very Americans was more organic because our singer was sort of always with us. But with Don't Sleep, it was like, we're going to start a band that showcases Dave Smalley at his best. And we're going to
That
write
that's what
music.
I was going to ask. Did you find yourself having like feeling that you were writing music for Dave himself on that?
Yes,
For Don't Sleep?
100%. And
Yeah.
actually more specifically, like, I mean, I like all of Dave's bands for sure, but Dag Nasty Can I Say is probably one of my top 5 hardcore albums of all time, maybe one of my top 10 albums of all time. And so I we as a band were like, we want to write some songs that, I mean, don't sound, no, we weren't trying to sound like Dag Nasty, but we're in that same spirit and in that same vein and could kind of showcase that version of Dave. And he has an incredible voice. And there are people who like are huge Down by Law fans that don't even listen to Dag Nasty. There are people who are huge DYS fans that don't listen to Dag Nasty or Down by Law. But like my sort of universe was Dag Nasty, Can I Say? So with Calling Hours, we kind of had the same conversation. Like Popeye's got this signature voice. He is, along with Dave, like, one of the, just a beloved singer coming from the hardcore world, had a different voice than everyone else, than any other hardcore band singer. I mean, had a really unique kind of signature voice. And we wanted to write music that showcased that. We didn't want to sound like Far Side, even though like people might wish we did, because people love Far Side still to this day, and they're a great band. But we didn't want to, ape off of them, and we wanted to sound fresh. We didn't want to sound like some recycled, regurgitated band. So when we wrote the songs, we really wrote them with his voice. Like we could hear his voice in our head, and I think Cardboard and Aluminum like really features that well, because it has a really catchy chorus, and um it's definitely like a sing-along song, but there is a sadness to Popeye's voice sometimes. Like I don't know if it's sadness, but there's a melancholy to his voice sometimes, and also to his lyrics that comes out in that song for sure. Like it's got some heavy parts to it, but you're like sing along. It's almost like, the Smiths or something. Like you're singing along to these lyrics, but they're so morose and and dark, but they're like super poppy. And I feel like that song sort of embodies that. So yeah, I would go with Cardboard and Aluminum.
Nice. Well, I think during your explanation of the writing the songs for Calling Hours kind of gave me the reason how I felt the album was a necessity. And the way you explained it, I absolutely loved it. Was not trying to write in the ilk of Far Side, but letting Popeye be something other than Far Side, and I think it's captured in this, especially for people who were huge fans of his, like I was. He was played a big role in my life, and I think this. Now, I don't want people to stop listening or following us, but I think it could have showcased him better. I really do. I think that's exactly where, and I just came to this revelation, no pun intended for the record label, but I honestly, while you were describing that, I'm like, I think that's exactly why I felt it was necessary, because I needed to hear Popeye in a different light, in a different band, to where I could still love it and sing along and just have a different sound behind it. And I think that's maybe what was captured. Maybe that's why I feel that way.
That's cool. Yeah. And we obviously, I mean, we all love all kinds of music, but like the one thing we all have in common is hardcore and punk. So, I mean, we wanted to have, we wanted to come from that place, but, there's some like power pop in there too, for sure. And I will say,
I'm a power pop kid too.
yeah, I mean, aren't we all? I mean,
yeah.
I think we were talking about the Posies when I met you, and like,
yeah,
that,
which that will be our special release for Thanksgiving, 2-part.
Oh, amazing!
That'll be everyone's travel for the weekend.
Can't wait to hear that. But I would be remiss if I didn't say, like, a huge contributor to this record is Brian McTernan, who recorded it and produced it. And I mean, it would not
super producer. That's who he is.
Just incredible person, an incredibly talented musician, and just out of this world producer. And the record wouldn't have happened without him, because he helped us. We recorded some of the Don't Sleep songs with him in Baltimore, and we got to know him, really well through that, and just got to, we all like clicked and everything. And when we first started demoing some songs with Popeye, I just casually, like, he and I every once in a while would message each other or just comment on each other and make comment to each other on Instagram. And I just messaged him and I said, "Hey, by the way, we're doing a band with Popeye. Are you interested in hearing it, or like, would you be interested in working with us on it?" And he immediately got back and was like, "Dude, I had a cat named Popeye. Like, Popeye is my favorite singer, one of my favorite singers of all time. I love him. I know him personally. He's a great person, and I want to be involved with this." And we were like, "Oh shit. Okay." So we did, again, I'd never done this with a band before, but we did pre-production with him. We, did full demos of all the songs with him. He had a hand for sure in writing. He had some great suggestions for how to make the songs better, and transitions and bridges and choruses and really everything. And really, like, injected a lot of energy into the band for us, because he was, when you're starting a band and we'd never played live. We're just writing and recording in a vacuum. You don't know if it's good. Like, you think it's good, but you don't really know if it's good until people who you trust start giving you feedback. And he, all along was just like super enthusiastic about it and about us. And so, the songs wouldn't be what they are without him. And a lot of the harmonies people will hear if they listen to the record are him. He kind of had a lot of fun with the harmonies. So he's a really great person. And at some point, we're going to start playing some shows with Be Well, hopefully, because we love his band as well.
Yeah, they're awesome. I've had the opportunity to see them numerous times, and it's just a sight to be seen. I've told people countless times, if you have an opportunity, just go see the band, and it doesn't matter if you like hardcore or not. Guarantee you're going to walk out, you're going to be a fan. Yeah,
it's feeling. There's a lot of feeling in that band, and sincerity. And I think, anyway, I just have to mention Brian, because if it were not for him, I don't think these songs might have gotten made, but they wouldn't be what they are now, and we wouldn't be nearly as stoked on them as we are.
Well, I give great thanks to him as well, that I have the opportunity to have these songs in my life now. So Now, for you personally, when did music become something more than just background noise as a child? Like, when did music start to click for you? Did you grow up in a musical family? Was there music always being played, or was it something that you grew into?
No, I didn't grow up in a musical family, I'd say. I mean, I got dragged to church when I was a kid, so I guess I had to hear music in church, but like I didn't we weren't a household where there was always music playing. I have an older sister who, when I was like maybe in fifth grade, she was probably, I think she's 6 years older than me. So she was in high school and she definitely went through like a new wave phase.
Listen, all of our sisters did. My friend laid this out perfectly for me one day. He goes, I never understood why you loved The Cure and Depeche Mode and all that kind of stuff in high school while you were still being a punk rock hardcore kid, but you still love that stuff. And he goes, it didn't dawn on me until later when I was like, he had an older sister. My sister was 4.5 years older than me. And I was like, yeah, that's it. And I still love it to this day. But it was that older sister in the
Totally,
80s was into new wave. And that's the way I got into it.
totally, totally. And I would like sneak into her room and listen to like, I remember Susie and the Banshees, Echo and the Bunnymen. Um, she had a couple Clash records and never mind the Bullocks, Sex Pistols, and I would just listen to them and be like, "Whoa, what is this?" And I remember she got in trouble. She snuck out of the house to go see the Tubes. I remember, and then got caught and got like grounded when it's probably the only bad thing she's ever done in her whole life. Um, so I owe that to her. And then my brother, again, not like a super musical person, but he went through this Elvis Costello, "My Aim Is True" phase, and like where that's all he listened to. So like I got turned on to Elvis Costello through him, who's probably to this day like my favorite musician. And Elvis Costello is like the gateway to the Jam and to a lot of other great music. So that was probably that was at an early age that definitely influenced me. And then I remember like going record shopping and buying like the hip hop records started to look really cool. So I would just like buy them off the wall at like our mall record store. I remember I bought Renegades of Funk by Africa Bambaataa and the Soul Sonic Force, and it was like a picture
I still
disc.
have,
And
I still have it.
dude, I don't know what happened to it, but it was a picture disc and it just looked cool. So I bought it and brought it home and put it on. I was like, what is this music? But that got me into hip hop for sure. I think we just called it rap then.
Yeah,
Um,
it was rap then. I was,
yeah,
I grew up with that too. Like it was the Fat Boys, Run
yes.
DMC,
All
LL
Cool
Cool
J.
J. Yep.
And then the Beastie Boys came along and I was like,
Yep.
whoa, what is this? And then I remember like in eighth grade, so I was into I was into like all like the alternative stuff. Like I saw New Order in 1984 or 85 on that tour. I mean, as like a little kid, and then like my best friend Caleb shoplifted Cult Electric cassette tape from Boscov's, our local department store, just because the cover looked cool, and we were like, "Wow, what is this?" That's how we discovered it. But then in eighth grade, there's a kid who moved to our town. I grew up in Pennsylvania. There's a kid who moved to our town from South Carolina. It was a skater named Brian Brasher, which is like perfect name for a
That's a
skater.
fucking skate name if I
I
ever
mean,
heard one.
like
Hey, was it real?
he was born to thrash, and he was cool, and we would get into trouble in school all the time, and like he was just a bad influence on me. But he gave me a cassette, and it had Bad Brains Rock for Light, Minor Threat Out of Step on one side, and the other side was like Black Flag, My War, and maybe Dead Kennedys. He's like, listen to this. And so I took it home, and that just like changed me forever, And so then like I went to a record store, I saw Minor Threat, I saw the actual cassette and saw the Discord logo. And then I was like, anything else that had Discord, I would buy because of that. And then I like got all the Bad Brain stuff and all the Black Flag. And it's just everything kind of went from there. And then all I cared about was hardcore. I didn't stop listening to alternative music, but like I could start going to shows. And then it was like, wait, I can actually go see these bands that I like in rooms with like 50 people or whatever. And then you can like be 5 feet away from the singer and then like buy a t-shirt from him afterwards. I could never do that with like Echo and the Bunnymen or
No.
whatever. So
Well, I think that's what that entire scene, and that's what I feel in my heart why it's so important was because I think it gave us as kids, we could see other people that were kind of like us doing something. You know, Echo and the Bunnymen, you didn't have the money to have that leather jacket and those awesome denim jeans and get your hair
that
done
haircut,
perfectly. Yeah.
that haircut that Ian McCulloch had. I mean, like, how do you look? How do you even look like that? I had no idea.
Yeah, so this was something that we could all relate to because they were relatable. They looked like us. They felt like us. We could do that.
Yeah, and I think that's like, you know, the Sex Pistols and the Clash, and like I know I started listening to the Dead Boys and stuff like that, and then like I liked it, but it wasn't super relatable in terms of like my own life. But then seeing like, seeing a band like Fugazi or something like that, you're like, oh, those guys kind of dress like I do, and they're not trying to look, they're not trying to look the part. They're walking the walk. They seem they seem to be singing about the same things that I care about, but they don't have mohawks, and they're not talking about, not they're not shoving like safety pins through their,
Yeah.
like that. And like,
They don't, all of them aren't wearing dog collars and
right.
chains and
And like,
yeah.
this is manageable. I can kind of like be myself and live my, normal kind of suburban life, but not, but still like go to these shows and be a part of this and feel like I'm part of something without trying to look like something I'm not, without trying to like stand out in a way that I really wasn't comfortable standing out.
When did playing music become something for you? Was that especially bass? I think is always interesting to hear how someone gets into bass because I got to tell you, there's a lot of different stories. You know, my favorite one is someone started on the flute and then went to bass, which was like just a huge jump. But
It's normally like, you know, uh, I couldn't figure out any other instrument, so I started playing the bass because it was, and that's what I always tell people. It's like the easiest instrument to fake. But I got into playing bass because I think I was a senior in high school, and um, I was started spending a lot of time with this band called Admiral that was like super influential on my life and on like our little scene in central Pennsylvania. Like, they were everyone's favorite band, and they were just started doing things that like no other local bands had done, like going on tour and getting write-ups in Maximum Rock and Roll and stuff like that. And so I kind of saw what they were doing, and I thought it'd be fun to start a band. So like a couple of other people who were following that band, and I just started like a little like DC hardcore cover band. And
what was the name of that band?
I honestly, I hate this. I hate myself for this. I cannot remember what the name of the band was. I
I
can
think
tell
you
you,
can remember. I just think you choose not to
I
remember.
can't, oh, I know what it's called. It was
See?
called Build. It was called Build. And it was definitely named after an Embrace song. Um, Thank you for asking me, because it forced it to come back into my memory. Um, and we only played two shows. We played my high school Battle of the Bands,
Of
and
course.
and then immediately when we were done playing, we loaded all of our stuff into like three cars and drove to a party and played at a party. I think we opened up for the band Grey House, if I remember, who's one of New Jersey's greatest. Um, and so we played twice in one night, and then that was it. I think like we all graduated from high school right after that when we were done. Interestingly, the drummer in Build is the drummer in Calling Hours right now. So
Huh?
we played our first band together when I was probably 17. He was probably like 14.
They call it fucking full circle, people.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, we talked about that when we were in Europe. I was like, can you believe we started this shit when we were 17 years old, and here we are? You know, not only would our 17-year-old selves be shocked that we were touring in Europe, but also like doing it as as middle agers. That would be, we wouldn't have believed it. But so I kind of like got the itch a little bit to play music with that, and with that little project. And then I went away to college. The summer after I graduated from high school, like the day after I graduated from high school, I went on tour as a roadie for that band Admiral. And I lied to my parents and said I was like going camping for a couple weeks with friends. And we ended up like touring across the country. And it was obviously really fun. And I was probably a terrible roadie, but I was, I kept them entertained so that they kept me around. And, just seeing like what shows were like, seeing other parts of the country. They played with a lot of great bands on that tour. I mean, they played like 4 shows or 5 shows with Green Day. They um, played with this band Trusty from
I remember Trusty from DC. Yeah.
yeah, well they were actually from Little Rock, Arkansas.
Yeah.
That's where they started. So they were still in Little Rock at the time. They played at the Con of Christ, like all these like really cool bands that we weren't familiar with.
Wow. I hate when people mention band names and now you mention Trusty. And as soon as I'm done with this, I'm going to my CD rack and pulling out a Trusty CD.
There you go. They were like rock stars in Little Rock. I mean, I remember, it was a huge show, at least from our perspective, and like everyone was there to see Trusty. So anyway, that tour. And they played in Southern California, and there was almost no one there. It was like an Oxnard, wasn't in LA, but Kent McClard was there, and he had not started Ebullition Records yet, but he fell in love with Admiral and ended up starting Ebullition. I think that Downcast was the first release, but the second release was the Admiral 7-inch. So like got to know Kent through that, got to meet him. So like who ended up, being, big record distributor and, had that great zine. And so just kind of like started to connect the dots and what it meant to not just be like a little local band, what it meant to like actually do a tour and kind of like be a part of something bigger. So then after that tour, I went off to college and was at this very small school in the middle of nowhere in Pennsylvania, literally in the middle of a state forest, and never in a million years thought I would start a band there. But like one of the first people I met was this guy in one of my English classes who he just looked like a beat poet guy. And we started talking and he said he was a drummer. I was like, oh, that's cool. And he said, yeah, I have a kid I grew up with in Philadelphia who, we kind of, I moved away, so we lost touch, but now we're back in touch because he's going to school here too. And he's a guitarist. Do you play any instruments? And I was like, like I kind of played the bass. Like I know how to play basic stuff on the bass. And he's like, all right, well, let's start a band. So we started playing. His mom was the dean of our school. And so he lived at home off campus and had like, a basement we could practice in. So we started jamming, and that was the nexus of Junction. And then we needed a singer. So this woman, Vanessa, was like the RA in the dorm where our guitarist lived in. And she was cool. And we just thought, we don't even know if she could sing, but she'd be like a good front person. And so she became our singer. And that's where that band started. We ended up moving. We were like at a branch campus of Penn State for a year. And then the next year we moved to State College, which even though that's a small little college town, it was a major step up from where we had been. And there was actually like a music scene there and record stores and, kids to go to shows and stuff like that. So we built a really, we helped build a pretty robust scene in State College during that time.
Well, think how far you've come, right?
I don't know. I'm still in Pennsylvania, so I guess not that far. But I mean, interestingly, like the guitarist for Junction, Greg Foreman, ended up having a pretty successful. After Junction, he was in he was in Cat Power for years, and now he's playing in Kat Von D's band. He's like writes the music and is in the band with her, and was in the band. I think he played in the band The Gossip. And every once in a while I'll turn on like some late night TV show and he's playing live, on a TV show. He's like just a virtuoso musician, guitarist, piano player. Pretty great.
Do you have a memory that stands out from your illustrious career that just holds a place in your brain that'll never go away, that's connected to music and something you did in it?
God, I'll say, and when you say illustrious, like, again, that's air quotes. Like I've never, I have many friends who have done much, much more music than I have, and have like,
Don't sell yourself short. This is what I hate. You've been a part of some great things, things that I own. So for me, it's an illustrious career. I mean, I may be one of, and I don't want to downplay Very Americans, but as soon as we talked, when I met you, I was like, the name sounds familiar, and it's because it's on a record that I have.
oh,
That's
really?
Very Americans. Yes.
Oh, which one is it? The 12-inch or the
Yeah,
7-inch?
the 12-inch.
I have to say, I won't be super modest about that record. I think that record's really good.
It's great.
and and we all laugh. We're like, maybe that's the best thing we've ever done, because it's all the same. It's a different drummer. Jim didn't play drums on that, but I mean, we all still really, and Rich, the singer, like lives in our town, and we love him. We run into him every once in a while. We'll play at a party or something, and but thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. I don't know. There's a lot of crazy memories. I would say, like, from Very American, since you brought that up, we pl- we got to play on the Artie Lang show one time, and there is video out there on YouTube of it, I think. Because my really good friend from childhood, not from like growing up, and a guy who I played in a band with before Very Americans, was the co-host of the Artie Lang show. I guess after Artie Lang left Howard Stern, he like got this live TV show on
Yeah.
DirecTV, and it was on every night from 10 to 1, 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. nationwide on like DirecTV. And my friend John Ritchie was his co-host and was a musical guy. And through him, we got asked to play live. Every once in a while, they would have bands play on the show. So we got asked to play on the TV show live. And it was just super, first of all, super stressful because you can't fuck up because it's live. It's not like, okay, let's do another take. It is live in studio. Um, and second of all, he interviewed us afterwards. And it was, so we played like two songs and then he interviewed us, and it was just really funny and very surreal. And one of the crazy thing, and it was in this beautiful studio in Soho. I think it was in Soho, but it was like a huge studio. And the other guest that night on the show was the celebrity chef Rocco DiSpirito.
Yeah. I know Rocco.
Yeah, and he cooked a meal on the show. Like, he showed this because he was, he was doing promotion for a new cookbook he had just put out. So he cooked a meal, came over to us after the show was over, and gave us plates of food that he just cooked. It was like very complimentary about them. He's like, "Hey, I just tweeted about you guys. I love your music. Can I feed you?" And we were like, "What is happening right now? This is insane." And he was totally cool. And then after the show was over, we ended up going out. A couple of us ended up going out with the crew from the show late to this one bar that was a couple blocks away. And I guess it was like known to be like the bar where the crew went. And DirecTV would replay the show a second time after it was on live. So we walked into this bar and there were like 20 TVs in this bar, and every TV was playing the show. And I'm watching myself playing music live on all these TV screens, and it was blowing my mind. So that was just one of those like moments where you're like, wow, this is happening, and this is really. And Artie was great. He was super funny, and of course, and was really generous with us. And it was just a fun thing that, like, honestly, it's like going on this European tour. Like, we had no business being on this show. We weren't like a huge national actor, whatever, but just through like a friend, we ended up playing on live TV. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
You got anything that stands out because it was horrible?
Oh my God. I mean,
Or have you gotten rid of those memories?
no, I mean, it's funny because the most horrible things end up being sometimes the best memories. Like, I remember that's the summer I went on tour with Admiral. Obviously this was 1990, pre everything, right? Like,
Yeah.
pre cell phone, of course, pre internet, pre,
This is actual paper roadmaps, people.
this is paper roadmaps. So they booked this tour, and this was before there was you didn't even know. I don't even know how he found. I don't even know how they found out who the local like promoters were or whatever. But we had to drive from Little Rock, Arkansas to Lubbock, Texas between shows.
And this is the time too, people, where you have to understand you could have booked a show, but you could get there and you're not booked. Like people have no idea. You talk to some random person.
Exactly. And it's not like now where you can look and say, like, oh, okay, there's a Facebook post about it, or oh, okay, it's on Instagram, or oh, they're tweeting about this show. And
Yeah, they're
like
paper flyers in a record store somewhere. That's the only way you found out about it.
a lot of times the only way you could find the club is just driving around the town and looking for a flyer, or like looking for skater kids and being like, hey, do you know where the show is? But I mean, I don't know what the distance is between Little Rock, Arkansas and Lubbock, Texas, but I'm guessing it's probably like 800 miles or something. I mean, it was like all the way across Texas. So we get to the town and go to, we've been trying to call the promoter all along, like, hey, and we keep getting his answering machine.
You're
No
close.
call back.
675 miles.
Yeah.
Sorry. I just
Oh, there it is. Okay. So I was not that far off. He is, we can never get a hold of this guy, but we're like, well, from there, we're going on to Phoenix, Arizona, where we know they're going to play with the Wind of Change guys. So like, we know there's going to be a show there. So let's just keep going to Lubbock and see what happens. So we show up and, go to the guy's house, the promoter's house. It's the only address we have. And he's like, hey guys, sorry that the show's canceled. We're like, oh, thanks for telling us. And, he says, but, if you guys are looking for something to do tonight, he said, you're welcome to stay at my house. We're like, okay, well, we don't have anywhere else to stay. He said, but if you're looking for something to do tonight, there's a band called Bad Mother Goose that's playing. So we're bummed, of course, and tired. And he said, there's this band called Bad Mother Goose that's playing at this club downtown. You should go check them out. We're like, can we get on the bill? Like, can they play? And he's like, no, but you should go check it out. So we find out later he was trying to get us out of the house because he had some guys who were going to steal all of our equipment from our van while we weren't there. And some of us went, some of us didn't, and the ones who stayed behind caught the guys who were trying to steal the equipment out of our van and like chase them down. But while we were, the ones of us who went to the show, turns out the guitarist for Bad Mother Goose was Tim Kerr, who we knew from the Big Boys. We didn't know he was in the band, but turns out we walked into this club and they were kind of like a funk band, really, really good. But like the crowd was kind of yuppie-ish and like a party crowd, not us, not a bunch of like skinny, shaved head, like punk kids. When I say skinny, I mean like emaciated because we weren't eating much on tour. So we walk in and like
Slim Jims and Snicker bars. That's what.
And we're vegetarians, not even Slim Jims. You know? So we walk in and we're like, bummed out for how things have been going. And Tim Kerr is standing on stage and like looks at us right away and like smiles at us. And when they're set, they had a break between sets and he walks over, gets off stage, immediately walks over to us and is like, who are you guys? We're like, oh, we're, on tour. We're in this band and the show got canceled tonight. So we had, nowhere else to go. And he was like, I'm so glad you came to my show. He gave us like t-shirts, gave us records, was like, talked to us for a while. We're like, oh my God, this is Tim Kerr. Like, this is a legitimate, like OG, this guy is, someone we've looked up to for a long time. And, he's like, hey, give me your phone number. To me, he's like, give me your phone number and your address and, let's stay in touch. I'm thinking, yeah, whatever. Of course, I'm never going to hear from him again. I get home from tour and like a week later, he calls me at my house. Like my parents, answer the phone. And, hey, Garrett, there's some guy named Tim on the phone. He's like, hey man, I just wanted to call and make sure you got back from tour okay. And, tell you it was nice to meet you. I was like, what is going on here? Like, how is this possible? And, since then I've talked to other people who have known him and that's just who he is. He's just like such a sweet guy and a good person, but full circle, like years later, I was at, I'm not name dropping and I feel weird even saying this, but I was at Ian MacKay's 50th surprise birthday party and I see Tim Kerr there. And this is, whatever, 20 years later probably. And I walk up to him and I was like, hey, I know you don't remember me, but I met you years ago. And he cut me off and he said, Admiral. And I was like, how do you remember that? He's like, I remember you guys, man. I remember you. And I seriously was just like, I was so floored, and it was super moving because this guy doesn't have to, he literally knows everybody. So we connected there, and then Very Americans went, and I'm saying this full circle for like a day that was started out so badly, but like turned into such a great like full circle moment. So Very Americans played at South by Southwest, and before I went there, I messaged. I had his email, and I just said, "Hey, we're going to be in town. If you're around, I'd love to say hi." And he's like, "Yeah, come to my house." So I take the guys to his house, and he gives us a tour. He has the original black and white drawing that Cynthia Connolly did, which was the cover of Minor Threat Out of Step. He owns it, and it's framed. And
As it should be.
he had original Glenn Danzig Misfits gloves that he wore on stage, also framed. It is how, and I actually just heard that I think he's either turned his house into a museum, or like he's starting to sell some of this stuff. I think he might have just sold those Misfits gloves. And then he takes us out to his studio, and he's like talking to us like we're, old friends. And the guys in my band are just like, "Oh my God, like, how do you, like, how can he be such a cool guy?" And he actually went to see one of our shows. And um, it's just, the point is, like, days that start out terribly can turn into, you know, experiences or relationships that can, enhance your life forever. And so, if Tim Kerr is ever listening to this, which I don't know if he is or not, probably, maybe, who knows? But just what a sweet guy. And sorry, that was a very long digression there. But
No, listen, it's a great story, and it's these kinds of stories too that go to show, like you said, your day starts off as shit and it turns into this lifelong awesome thing that you have. And talking about someone like Tim like that is an amazing thing in and of itself. I mean, I don't think I think there's more people in the world that are like that don't get credit too, right? There's a thing where the honesty and the truth in people is hard to find, but when you find it, you hold on to it forever, right? And that's exactly what transpired with you and Tim. And that's just a memory. It starts out like shit and ends in, bubble gum and balloons. Like, it's
yeah,
just
well, and
beautiful.
here's the other crazy thing. The first show we played on this Calling Hours tour in Europe was in this town called Schweinfurt, and one of the guys in the other band had a Big Boys tattoo on his calf. And I was like, I walked by him. I was like, "Oh, Big Boys." He said, "I've had this tattoo for like 10 years. No one has known like, no one has ever said anything about it. Like, no one even knows what it is." And I was like, "Yeah, of course. It's like the anarchy symbol on the skateboard." And he's like, "Do you like Big Boys?" And I said, "Let me tell you a little bit about Tim Kerr." And luckily I gave him the Reader's Digest version of the story I just told you, because I'm sure he would have fallen asleep halfway through. But, like, so he keeps kind of working his way back into my life in his own ways. So it's cool.
That's awesome. Listen, I'm one of those guys too that's got tattoos of bands that people like have no idea until someone points it out, and I'm just like, "Fuck yeah, finally!" Like
That's
I
why you get it, right? Like, the more
yeah,
obscure, the better. Because
yeah,
if someone recognizes it, you guys are gonna be friends, like instant friends, right?
fact. I mean, it's a total fact. Like, one of my first tattoos ever was shelter, was
Yeah,
the shelter symbol, and like people are like, "What is that?" It looks like a flaming Trivial Pursuit piece, and I'm just
yeah,
like, "Fuck you guys!" And then I was at a show once in the summer, and I had a tank top on, which those days are pretty much gone of tank tops. But they're like, "Fucking shelter, right on, man!" I was like, "Fuck yeah, awesome! Finally, one person."
yeah. That I was at Sheets, like, I don't know, 12 years ago or something, standing in line. That Sheets is, if you're not from the Mid Atlantic, it's, what it's like, Wawa.
Yeah, yeah.
And
It's a gas station that has decent food.
yes, and there's a guy standing in line in front of me, and he had an iceberg tattoo on his leg. And I was like, but then I thought, oh, maybe it's like something else, or
Yeah.
maybe what. And I was like, "I gotta ask you, is that an iceberg tattoo?" He's like, "How the fuck do you know what iceberg is?" I was like, "Come on, man. I actually put out an iceberg record." And he's like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, man. I had this label, and we did an iceberg 7-inch, and it was two-sided. One song, we had to put it on, make it a two-sided. Like, each song was like on one. Half of the
Yeah.
song was on side one, and the other half was on side two, because the
Yeah,
song
because
was too
they
long
were
for
all 19 minutes long.
exactly. Yeah." And that was this guy Ira Henry, who's to this day is, a good friend, and comes to all of my band shows, and he's just a great guy.
It's
So you
awesome.
just never know, you know?
You never know.
Mm-mm.
You may have mentioned it earlier, but I kind of try to separate a distinction between two, and people say, their favorite band or artist. I look more towards, is there an artist or a band that never lets you down? It's kind of, I look at it as when you don't know what to listen to and you just know what you have to put on because it's never going to let you down when you put it on. Do you have an artist or band like that in your life that you constantly turn to when you don't know what to listen to because you're just not going to be let down by putting it on again?
Mm. I would say the two that I have are I can't stop at one, but I would say two would be, and they both came up already in conversation. Elvis Costello, because of like the breadth of his work. I mean, he's released so many records, and you can get whatever you want out of it. You can get like, punkish, like garage rock. You can get pop songs. You can get, chamber orchestra music, like country, everything, like good country, and everything in between. And it's all good. Like the guy has like never written a bad song. And I would say him, and also Fugazi. Like they'll always, I know it's like an obvious choice, but like they'll always probably be my favorite band. And um their career, um I guess if you want to call it a career, like their evolution as a band was pretty amazing. And again, like never wrote a bad song. So I can always turn to them and always rely on those two to help me pick up my day for sure.
Nice. Now, after mentioning an Elvis Costello and a Fugazi, is there something that you listen to that you get tons of enjoyment out of that people would be very surprised to find out that you enjoy listening to it?
I don't think so. I mean, that's not that I'm like think my musical taste is so incredible, but I don't. Um, no, it's a tough question. Um,
Like you don't listen to K-pop in the shower or something that people be like, "Holy shit, I
no,
never would have
I
thought that."
don't. I don't. I mean, I would say like thanks to my I have to say I listen to heavier music than people might think, and I know that sounds like a cop out, but like I love super heavy beat down hardcore. Um, and I don't look like I would, and I've never played in a band I've played in like hardcore bands, but I've never played in a band that like tunes way down and has like killer mosh parts. And like I love like Harm's Way, and I love Trapped Under Ice, and I mean bands like that are just, even though I'm like generally a pretty happy person, like those bands can put me in the zone when I want to be in a certain zone. And so I don't know, maybe someone would be a little surprised by that.
Yeah, I don't think so. But
I know. So again, like I don't. Uh,
it's
that was a,
listen, it's fine. You can cop out and not tell anybody about your guilty pleasures. It's fine. But
I'm gonna wake up in the middle of the night tonight. I'm gonna sit up and be like, oh yeah, like this. But it's Katy Perry. No, no, I don't know. I don't know. Let's part two. Maybe next time we do
okay.
this.
Yeah, next year after the next EP comes out.
There you go.
All right. Last major question before we move on to our final segment. So here it is. The world's going to end in 5 minutes, meteors crashing into the earth, and you have to listen to one song. What song are you listening to?
Oh my God. Probably War Pigs. I mean, it's probably going to be Black Sabbath. I just feel like that's I'm going to say that probably the most apropos music to listen to as the world is coming to an end.
Wow.
Because Ozzy would have predicted everything and it would have all been correct. And in the end, like I have to say, I mean, Black Sabbath is up on the Mount Rushmore bands, probably an underrated band in terms of their influence on like all good guitar music from the, you know, 80s on, right?
And absolutely, I love that you just said that because there is when I originally started the show, I used to have a segment overrated, underrated, and it's a band can be both. And what band do you think falls into that category of a band that's overrated for stuff but extremely underrated for everything that they've done?
Yeah, I mean, and I think as popular as Sabbath is, I still think underrated. Like they're gonna be influencing music till the end of time for
I
sure.
agree. I agree. Wow, nice. I like how I hit that. That's my full circle moment for the show.
There you go. What's your most underrated?
Um, I had I had a lot of bands, so one of them for some reason that popped into my head when I started doing that was Third Eye Blind. I always thought they were extremely overrated for their songs that were on the radio, and then I would listen to their stuff that wasn't on the radio, and I thought it was 100 times better.
Interesting. Okay. So they're both to you.
Yeah, they're both. They're
Yeah.
overrated and underrated.
Okay.
There's what was it, Blind Melon. They got popular, sold a shit ton of albums off of one song. That's the worst song they ever made, No Rain, and all their other stuff is fucking amazing.
I have to say I've like never taken the dive into the Blind Melon catalog.
Just get Nico, and you'll be fucking blown away.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, Nico's the greatest thing. Came out posthumously after Shannon Hoon died, but it's some of the greatest songs I've ever heard in my life, and I'm like, fuck, this is what they were. Wow.
Yeah, I think I probably would have I might have said previously, like years ago, that Pearl Jam was overrated, and now I kind of like I don't really go out of my way to listen to them, but I do sort of appreciate them as artists now because I feel like they've sort of stuck it through in the long haul, and they're like, Eddie Vedder's like solid guy, and they sort of got out of the corporate side of things, and like they have like the most loyal fans, you know, maybe of any band. So
Oh
like
yeah.
I would say, not that they're underrated by any stretch, but maybe not overrated.
No, and you look at Pearl Jam for one of those huge music lover like me. I like Pearl Jam a lot, and I've met people that I'll be like, "Hey, how many times have you seen her?" Like 180, and I'm like, "I've seen them
Whoa.
once." And I'm
Wow.
like, and that's kind of all I needed to see because I only needed to see one song played live, and people were like, "Oh, they barely ever play that," and they change their set list. And I was getting ready to leave the show to beat the 40,000 people that were on the beach at See Here Now, and as I'm walking away, they kick in State of Love and Trust, and I just fucking turned right back around and ran down. I was like, "That's
It's
all. That's what
good.
I wanted to hear."
Yeah, it's good. And those guys are like, I remember they took Ted Leo and the Pharmacists out on as
Yeah.
like an opening band for them. That's the one time I saw them, and I thought that was cool. Like they could have taken anyone, but they were like fans of Ted's music. And I actually I'm not name dropping, but I got like I was friends with those guys or like a couple of the guys in Ted Leo band. And so I was before the show, I was in their little green room, and Eddie Vedder and Stone Gossard walked in just to like chat. And Eddie had like I'm on a first name basis with him. Mr. Vedder had had a,
Edward. Edward.
Edward had a newspaper in his hand. It might have been like the Philly Inquirer, and there was a preview of the show that was in the paper that day, and he was reading it aloud. He was like, "I got to ask you a question." And the drummer Chris Wilson was from Philly, and the show was in Camden, so it was basically like a hometown show for him. He's like, "I got to ask you a question. It says here Ted Leo and the Pharmacists is the opening band, and their drummer Chris Wilson is from Fishtown. What's Fishtown?" And Chris is like, "Oh, that's the neighborhood I live in. It's the name of the neighborhood I live in Philly." And Eddie was like, "Oh, that's good because I thought that was the name of one of your other bands." And I was like, "Dude, that would be the worst name for a band ever." And it wasn't even funny. It was just like a little quip.
Mm-hmm.
And Eddie Vedder started laughing, and I was like, "Whoa!" I just made Eddie Vedder laugh. That's cool. But they were so what watching them play, they were awesome, and their fans like it's one of those bands that everyone in the show knows every word to every one of their songs.
Yeah.
Like that's how like committed the fans are to that band.
And Stone Gossard's in one of my favorite and probably one of my top 10 favorite bands of all time that isn't Pearl Jam. So
Which one?
Brad.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Again, not familiar with. I know that it exists, but haven't
Yeah.
taken the into the Brad.
The Welcome to Discovery Park. I would recommend you go with the first album that was Shame, called Shame,
Okay.
Brad Shame. And then Welcome to Discovery Park is in my top 25 greatest albums of all time.
Shit. Okay, that means a lot. Considering how big your record collection is, that means something.
Yeah, it's one of those albums that like I'm sitting in the basement. I don't know what I want to listen to. I'll go over and I'll just grab Welcome to Discovery Park, put it on, and never be disappointed.
Okay. All right. It's on my list now.
Yeah. But so we've been here for a while, and I hope to do this again, and I can't wait to see you in person again. So before we move on to our final segment, do know Calling Hours Say Less comes out November 10th. I will tell everyone my favorite song right now off of it that I would play for people. You have Cardboard and Aluminum. I have Snake. Why must it be snakes? Or
Why did it
all I
have to
have.
be?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why did it have to be snakes? That's on my little version that I have. It just says snakes next to it. So, but that's my song. So hopefully you'll hear them on this episode. And I would also love to give you the opportunity right now, Garrett, to tell everybody how to find and keep up with Calling Hours.
Oh, cool. And I'm terrible with social media, but our Calling Hours Music on Instagram might be the same on Facebook, but if you find us on Instagram, you'll be able to find the other accounts as well. We were talking about singles. The record it's coming out on Revelation Records, so if you want to order it, we appreciate that. There's some different vinyl variants that they're putting out, and also some t-shirt bundle stuff, so we appreciate any support you guys can give as far as that's concerned. We are, I'm not sure when this is airing, but we're playing a show in Brooklyn at St. Vitus, November 18th, actually with his friends Rust again, which we're kind of treating as our record release show. And also as Friends Rust is kind of celebrating their record as well. So please come and see us, say hello to us. It's going to be a lot of fun. And hopefully, Shane, you can be there as well. Be fun to see you.
I will, if I am around and available, I would not miss it. So
cool. Yeah, it's a Saturday, so hopefully that's
And St. Vitus is a fucking dope place. I love it. I also love the fact that you can't find it; you can walk right past it.
Oh, really?
Old school.
I think
if you've never been there, just look for a cross on the door in the area that you're supposed to be in.
I think I saw the Van Pelt there, which is a weird,
wow.
One time I saw a band, which is kind of surprising, but we're really excited, and we are excited about the record, and thank you for having me on. And I talked to Popeye earlier today. I mentioned I was going to be doing this, and he said to say hello. So thank you for having us on and talking to us and doing a cool podcast.
Well, I appreciate it, and I stand by the people that I have on here because I want more people in the world to hear the great music that's being created by artists that honestly don't get their just due. So with that, me before saying your illustrious career, you have created some amazing music that you should be extremely proud of in your life, and more people need to hear it and respect and honor what it is that you do. So thank you for that.
Thank you. It's very, very, very nice of you to say that, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that with sincerity, so that it means a lot.
All right, our final segment, it's our weekly 3 segments. 3 things that you're listening to right now that you would like people to check out.
3
you get
things.
3, then I get 3. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, none of these are going to be like huge surprises, but I'd say like I'm listening to a lot of his friends Rust. So like after seeing their whole set and from like their whole catalog, I've been going back, and since I've gotten back from tour, I've been listening to them a lot because it reminds me of tour and makes me happy. And I love those guys. So as Friends Rust, for sure. I am listening to a band from Bremen, England Bremen, Germany, called Phantom Bay.
You son of a bitch. That is number 2 on my 3s.
Are you serious?
Swear to God.
Wow.
I will send you a picture right now of it's typed up on my notes for my 3s.
Holy shit. Well, I mean, good on them, right?
Yeah.
It's so random because they popped up. They are playing in my town in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania tomorrow night in a little coffee shop. And it just like the flyer for the show popped up in my Instagram feed. And I was like, oh, I wonder what this band's all about. And since they're playing in our town, I was like, so I went and listened. I found them on Spotify, and I was like, holy shit, this band's incredible. And then next thing you know, we worked a little bit with Norm Brannon from
Yeah.
Texas is the reason, et cetera,
Yeah.
et cetera, on some of our on our bio for Calling Hours. He wrote it for us. So like feel like I'm in dealing, working with him, like I'm noticing more stuff that he's posting. So he posted about them after that, and I was like, wow, I wonder how Norm knows about them. And our whole band is like gushing over that band. So I think they're staying at our guitarist Tom's house tomorrow night, so he's really excited. But anyway, they're great, awesome. Just like, I don't know, Title Fight, fucked up, great music. And number 3, I would say, I've been having trouble adjusting to the time change. So I've been listening to, and like falling asleep. So I've been listening to some Brian Eno. What's it called? Ambient songs for airports.
Yeah.
Am I getting the title right?
Yeah.
Which honestly was like at the suggestion of our guitarist Tom. Does help you fall asleep. So those are the 3 things I'm repping right now hard.
Nice. All right, my 3. My first one for this week is Loud Sounds. The name of the album is called Index. It's a not even an album, EP, but they're doom metal-ish, shoegazy, a la Deftones style. Number 2 is Phantom Bay. The name of the album is Underground, and we just went on, a hardcore band from Germany. So fucking crazy that we both had them on our 3s.
and both is number 2.
Yeah. And last but not least, a band called Present. The name of the EP is I Want. They're shoegazy alt rock from San Fran. So I got my hardcore shoegazy and metal, doom metal in there this week. Nice. So those are my 3 for this week. And again, Garrett, thank you so much for spending time with me, not only on the show, but at your show. I appreciate it. I can tell the type of person you are by talking to you, meeting you. I love it so much talking about music with people because it's the easiest thing to connect with, but I know there's a lot more we can connect on, and I wish more people would be able to do that. So thank you so much again for spending time and doing what it is you do. It's an invaluable thing, and it's extremely important to a lot of people that have never had the opportunity to tell you that it's important. So just know that what you do is important, and we thank you very much for doing it.
Thanks, Shane. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Everybody, you know what time it is now. It's time to go out, listen to Calling Hours, and have a great fucking time.
You glide through the hallway like there ain't no walls. You steal all the light and take no curtain calls. It's such a scene, like frames on a screen, and the celluloid can be so mean. Save it all.
Thanks again for tuning into the Hidden Tracks podcast. We hope you enjoyed this week's show. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at HiddenTracks99. Also, send all your submissions to myhiddentracks99@gmail.com. Tune in next week. You may find your new favorite band, and don't forget to go out and have a great fucking time.